All right, I started to check the valve clearances, which you'll see in an upcoming video just before, but unfortunately I don't have a socket big enough to turn the crank, and I'm here by myself, so I can't really rock the car backwards and forwards without it dropping off a cliff over the back there. So I'm going to move on to installing some spotlights, but in the process I disconnected the injectors and I lost my copper O-ring on the bottom of one of the injectors. So I will show you how to make a new copper O-ring from scratch, and then we'll move on and install some spotlights. Right, as I mentioned before, I lost my little copper washer, which is this bad boy right here. And I'll show you how to quickly make a new one. It's not very hard at all, and copper's awesome as a sealing washer because you can reuse them over and over again as long as they don't get too much of a burr, which you can just put on some emery paper and clean up, and then you heat them up with some fire and get it cherry red, and then it's all good to reseal. So copper is a work hardened substance, so as soon as you've heated it, it's nice and soft and pliable. You can then tighten it up, torque it up to your torque setting, and it works. It goes harder once it's been worked, and makes a nice tight seal. All right, so the thing to do now is grab yourself a little bit of copper pipe and cut it off, grab some pipe, chuck it in the vise, and cut it in half. Pretty much sort of flat. That will do a bit of a start. All right, so that's nice and flat now, which is good. So pretty close. Now we just got to get the center hole size correct. So we look at the hole size on the washer, find out what hole size that bad boy is, and we drill it. All right, so we got the drill bit that fits. It's 5/16. It's actually probably not imperial, it's probably metric, but my metric drill bits are at work, so it's pretty close to 5/16. We'll just pop that in there, and then we'll file it out slightly to get it pretty much spot on. So, all right, got a couple of clamps set up, which is good. The vise will bend it, so we might make a couple, I think. All right, so I've marked it out now. So all I did was place not the old one, the one I'm going to use, the one I haven't lost, over the top of the hole. Mark it out with a scribe, which in my case is a screwdriver because I can't find my scribe. That's what happens when you don't clean your workshop for a long time. Marked out the outside. I'm just going to use the angle grinder to cut off the big bits, and then I'm going to file it by hand to get the right shape and size. If I had a bench grinder, I'd probably do that, but I don't know. I haven't found one cheap enough yet, so find one eventually. Alright, so just going to file the outside. Be good if I had a file that I didn't get wet in my toolbox. And also it's a bastard cut, so it'd be good if I had a mill smooth or a second cut bit finer for now, and then a mill smooth to finish it up. But lucky it's copper, nice and easy. Only a small amount of filing. And for you new guys out there that I see using files, a lot of people just sit there hacking backwards and forwards. Have a feel of it. It only works in one direction, that's forward. Don't forget when using a file, don't push super hard, let the file do the work. Keep it nice and easy. Thumb on top, hand on top. And just let that file do the work. You don't need to go crazy, all right? Now when you get it fairly close, looking like this, yeah, just grab some emery paper, put it on a flat surface. So grab some emery paper, put it on a flat surface, and just work both sides of the washer. Don't forget, you do have to take thickness into account. This is actually spot on, but if thickness is a concern, especially if you're looking at something that requires the correct clearance, make sure you get the clearance correct, and you can always use that emery paper to get it down pretty spot on. So, right, and you can always grab yourself a drill with a little bit of emery paper on the end, and better if you had a stick or something wrapped around, but just to clean it up a little bit. Looking pretty good to me. The next step is, as I was saying earlier, how copper is work hardened. We need to heat the copper washers that we're going to use up to a nice cherry red temperature, and then just let it cool down, and then it will be nice and soft and pliable, and when you torque it back up, it will form a nice seal. So with the other washers that I've got, that I pulled off as well, I'm going to give them a quick clean up, because after you've compressed it, it gets a little burr on the inside, which could potentially create a leak. So I'll just give them a quick clean, and then I'll heat them all up nice and red, and then they're good to go. All right, probably should have cleaned my stove before I did this, but anyway, now you just got to get those copper washers, chuck it on a fork or something, dangle it on over the heat and get it cherry red. There you go, they're all annealed, ready to go. I also may have annealed my fork as well. Now to me, that fits pretty damn good. So, you know, could have been a bit neater, but it's all good, it's going to do the job. All right, well there you go. That's how to make a copper washer when you're like me and you're doing your valve clearances and you decide to drop one. Yeah, there you go. So unfortunately I haven't got the valve clearances done yet because I couldn't find a big socket to turn over that crank, so I'll buy a socket tomorrow. We're in Victoria at the moment, we're in lockdown, can't technically leave home for any other reason than to go shopping for fruit and vegetables and stuff. But yeah, I'll order one online and get it delivered to work quickly tomorrow morning. So yeah, or I'll get somebody else to give me a hand. We'll just give the car a push and get it in the right position. So a bit hard to do by yourself. Anyway, that's it. Make stuff, don't buy it. It's heaps more fun.